Scorpio, welcome to your reading. I've laid the cards already, so to see whether you want to I keep saying that, stand around, stay around, then what I can see here is it's to do with your passion, your drive, your sexuality, your libido, your creative energy. So it doesn't need to mean sex so much as it means, you know, that energy, that force. And it's strong, and so it's kind of destabilizing you somehow. Let's just dive in and see. It's very, very strong, and there's a nice ending, but it's kind of pushing you to some sort of rebirth, and so it's how you navigate that. So if that sounds like it might be relevant to you, then stick around. So we've got you as the Two of Wands initially, deciding where you want to put all this passion. Alexander overlooking the globe that he's holding in his hand. He wants to know where to plant this wand, and he's looking beyond his home, which we can see, or a home, over the seas. Okay, so he's looking far. He's looking far beyond what he usually would want, and he hasn't quite decided where to put this passion, but it's strong and it needs a place. Okay. So how does that make you act in the outside? As the Ace of Wands, you want to grab that same stick and use it and grow it and go with this kind of sense of excitement. It feels divine, whatever's being given to you. It has all these blessings and this growth in it. And it's a very strong spring-like energy if you're in the Northern Hemisphere. You know, we're all, our bodies are all being woken up. It makes me think of, I don't know if anyone watched Northern Exposure when it's on. You can still see it live streaming, or sort of on a, not live streaming, endless streaming on Amazon Prime. God, it's a good series. It's worth buying on DVD because I don't think they put it on any other streaming platform. But it's about a little community in Alaska with all sorts of different people who live in it, and a doctor, Dr. Joel Fleischman, who has ended up there by mistake, thinking he was going to a big town in Alaska, and he's ended up in this tiny little place called Sicily. And it just is a lovely episodic sort of group of stories about a community. And I remember one very clearly about spring madness, because, you know, they come out of this cold, dark time, and then spring hits the whole place, and everyone from the little old lady who runs the shop through to the youth just goes slightly mad with it. And Joel, particularly when he first is there, because he's not used to the sudden return of light because it's so north, that he gets this sort of crazy ability to keep going and going and going, but you know there's going to be a crash. I don't really see the crash here, but I see a worry around this level of passion, and it must feel quite strong for whoever's watching. At the basis of the reading is the Queen of Wands. So your intuition, your incredibly rule-breaky, legs open, positive, a dynamic queen. So the queens are all in the heart. They're all about love. In cups, really. Cups is love in the tarot. But she's one of the two very independent queens who would be a bit less, oh, darling, let me take care of you, and a bit more, here's how you do it, now off you go, out of the door. You know, she's kind of like the way Madonna is an amazing mum, because she trains her children up and she gives them good positive thoughts and she sets them off into the world believing in them. This is the kind of energy that's at the basis of this restart for you. And I love the Queen of Wands. Lots of people love the Queen of Wands. What can I see about her today in particular? You know, she looks away from us because, again, she's not mollycoddling, but her cat looks directly at us. Those little green eyes. Probably can't quite see it. So there is a sense in that the intuition, gosh, they're really strong, those eyes today. I wonder whether I can... Your intuition is really fixated on you, and it wants you to act on its behalf. Your witchy nature. Maybe that's why you're feeling a bit nervous, I can see coming up later on, because there is a lot of mental worry and defensiveness, but that part of you is really speaking to you, and a sort of primal creative force is waking up, maybe with spring, if you're in the Northern Hemisphere. Recently, in the recent past, we see you feeling very tied up with your own self-defeating thoughts. This isn't very nice. This feels like, I don't know how to get unbound. But we know about her that it's really actually very easy to get unbound. She needs to just think very clearly and cut off that blindfold and this silly ribbon that she can just wriggle straight out of. So you might have been in a period of feeling really unsure and nervous and worried about lots of things. What can I see? Everything is orange, and she's sort of dripping into that orange. But look, she's in the middle of a sort of slightly pathetic stream. It sort of makes me think of mud flats. I always think of the Princess Bride. Isn't there a bit in the mud flats with that? Yeah. It makes me think that you could sink into this if you weren't careful, because your dress is made of the same colours. There's a sense of being kind of consumed and not pulling yourself out, but sort of worrying. It could be something like listening too much to the news, listening to all the insecurity, and then telling yourself stories that kind of reflect back that reality, and winding yourself into this greater worrying reality and seeing how that relates to you. And I'm not saying it doesn't relate to you, but it's just try to loosen the stories because they're not helpful. One potential outcome is the Four of Pentacles, holding on for dear life to what you know, a bit stuck, very secure, but not really wanting to go with this new Ace of Pentacles at all. This one says, no, I'm actually quite well set up. I like things the way they are. I'm holding on to all of the things. I've got a coin under each foot. I've got one held over my heart so that I don't get too ignited by that Ace of Wands, and one on my head. And it's just a stage, because we can see those little lines that indicate it's a stage in life. But this is the potential outcome, with this force of the energy and then the worry, and your worry is making you hold on. But what I like about this reading is it has a potential outcome and then an outcome. When we add in your attitude, your environment, your hopes and fears, we see a different outcome. I mean, look, it's good that you're secure, right? Coming up in the near future, Ten of Pentacles, feeling like you're delving into security in a big way, like the kind of generational wealth, all the things that you've learned in your journey through your clan, through your family, through family law, through your heritage that hold you safe. Really bedding into that with that Four of Pentacles energy, thinking about keeping it all really safe. Now, this doesn't fight with the Wand energy at all. It's just, I see you focusing very strongly on it, as if the fear is that you'll lose resources or lose connection to this big clan somehow. So you're really focusing and connecting. It might be that there is a big family thing coming up around Easter, or something that connects you to that sense of wealth. He's very like the King of Pentacles, of course, with the same sort of things. It is almost the King of Pentacles in a few years. I love that the dogs are there. What else am I seeing? I can see these little boats. The sun has helpfully just come out and is shining on the thing. So just above the King of Pentacles' head, or the old man's head, are these two boats. Now, those boats, of course, make me think of him looking over the sea. So even though you're resting in this sort of secure environment, that right on your mind might be, yeah, but it's really annoying. I've got this idea that I want to launch, and I've got these further shores I want to get to. I want to plant some trees, because the other thing that was sticking out is those tiny trees behind his head. Little tiny trees. Like those would be something in a few years that would grow out of this. Your attitude is death. You understand there's a transformation, there's a rebirth coming, and I feel like you really understand it with the death. You're not fighting it. You know that you have to transform. It might worry you, but you understand that there is a new king being born. It might be because you're looking around and you can see the world changing. We all can. There are changes coming for all of us in lots of industries, in lots of senses, and it's waking up new creative possibilities for people. Again, there's a little boat behind and underneath the belly of the horse, just above the old king that's dead. So it keeps referencing to me this idea, this passionate idea, that you might be setting off to conquer, to keep going with. The sun is rising. The crown of the king is off, and it's interesting that he's got grey hair, a bit like the chap in the Ten of Pentacles as well. So it's as if whatever's built that wealth for you in the past, that sense of security, it's over now. You've got to find a new way of feeling safe in the world. I'm sure that's true of a lot of us. And I see the trees again, you know, the boats and the trees. The trees are now a bit bigger and the boat is more clear. So the same things that we were picking out in the Ten of Pentacles, above his head are those kind of ideas, those sketches of boats, and behind him those ideas of trees growing. Like in the black and white, they're etched into the walls. Well, now they're kind of coming true, aren't they? They're coloured in. So this is your attitude. I think one part of you is accepting that you need to go with this. But your environment is one which is you still feel quite defensive in. Maybe lots of people around you are feeling defended and a bit wounded. He's the wounded healer. It's just a stage. We see the two lines indicating it's like a stage set. Pamela Coleman Smith was a stage designer, and so this would be very deliberate for her when she put these in, because it means there will be a scene change coming up. This is just a stage. It's just a phase. It's not a kind of permanent condition. But you are feeling beleaguered, bashed about. You know, it's the remnants of this in your mind that, you know, your even now your passions, because we're back in the wands, in your environment, you're aware that it's, you have to tread cautiously. You don't want this new idea to be bashed down immediately. You understand that that you have to be on your guard at this moment, and maybe other people are also feeling a bit defensive around the creative industries. It could even be, or with their passions, they don't quite know where to put them at the moment. What's standing out? Yeah, he's looking up and left, right in the picture as I look at it, as if something could be coming from above that he's a bit worried about. He's not looking at us, but he's built this fence. So we understand that it's not always easy to start these new creative endeavours. In your hopes and fears, you're very frightened that all the things in your worst imagination that you've been watching on the news might come to pass, and they're feeling very overblown because this is exaggerated worries. It is also wanting to do due diligence, like the Nine of Wands would want you to do, just beneath it. But it's another nine. So it relates to his defensiveness. You know, from this kind of weary wisdom comes this, it's informing this worry and this wish to be very clear, setting all the details out, making sure we don't miss anything. And you're also worried that there's going to be a long time before you can start planting these trees and starting with this new endeavour. There's going to be an absence, delay and separation. This worries you. You fear it, but also maybe there's an element of you wanting, because we know you want things to stay the same, there might be an element of you thinking, oh, it's okay if it doesn't happen immediately because there's so many worrying things going on in the world. Then at the end, we have the Page of Cups. This is lovely. This is you acting on, sending out messages. It's a stage card, but of this thing, this imaginative thing, this wand, this creative endeavour. It's now coming to so it's becoming something that you're prepared to put love into. You're quite enamoured with that fish, actually. You're really, really looking at it, and you feel very happy and jaunty. So I like that as an ending. There's movement. So let's pick a Enchanted Forest Tarot card to cap this. We've got a few others that we're going to cap quickly, but just to see which parts of the reading want to be looked at. We've got Weaver of Spells, who's the Queen of Cups, and the Huntsman, who is the Huntsman? Let's look him up. That's lovely energy. So the Queen of Cups coming to support you with all her love. And the Huntsman, let's see. Weaver of Spells. I love it because I just did Libra's reading before and they had the Weaver of Boons. So it's like there's this loving cup energy is coming towards everyone. And again, Libra had one of the tougher two queens. So you've got the Queen of Wands, who's one of the tougher twos. Libra and... Oh, you're going to be bee people as well because there's a bee. The bees are all waking up. So Libra was bee as well. But you've got the Queen of Wands who's tough, but now you're getting the soft energy of the Queen of Cups to mitigate that, which is very parallel to what? Oh no, I tell a lie. You've got double Queen of Wands. You're not getting off the hook. I love it. I think you've got double Queen of Wands. That's the bit that it wants to look at. I love it. I was hoping you were going to get some soft energy, but you know what? You don't need it. This is what you need. You need double Queen of Wands, the basis of your reading. She's turning up again. Passionate, confident, bold, charismatic, a sparkling sense of humour, sexual and seductive. Wow. This is the energy that's being awoken in you. I mean, who wouldn't love that? I'd love a double Queen of Wands. So this says, the Weaver of Spells summons her power from within and directs it towards her purpose. I think it's just reminding you, despite all of your worries, you are super powerful. Magic rises from her body and swirls all around her. She's a fiery lover, the muse, the creative force, the catalyst for change. She is the embodiment of the magical flower, the seeker of spells sought out. The full power of the true sorceress. She casts her glamour around her, and you are bewitched. Look, you could be sort of falling in love in this. If anyone's in that position of taking a new lover, this would work with this energy as well. But I think it's generally your kind of witchy nature that we're dealing with and all of that creativity that it brings out. If this card doesn't represent a particular person, it can mean a time of great creative joy where the vital energies of life burst forth and are expressed in ways that benefit others. You really, really have that. You've got the Ace of Wands, the Two of Wands, 1, 2, and then you've got double Queen of Wands. So there is a resurgence, and I love that the cards wanted to talk to you about that. And there I was trying to give you some comfort. You don't need it. You're full of this kind of gusto. You're a true, beautiful, witchy soul, and very sexy to boot. Right, the Huntsman. Oh, this is justice. That's interesting. That was in Libra's reading. Justice, integrity, fair dealings, legal and ethical matters, truth and honour, giving and receiving respect. And so a closer look, the huntsman horn is blown to call the wild hunt that rides through the forest on May Eve and All Hallows Eve. It's also blown as a lament for the death of an innocent. A mighty huntsman stands with his bow and arrow at the ready, his hunting horn at his belt. Close behind him are a doe and her fawn, closer than deer would normally approach a man, but the huntsman is not a mortal man. He's the embodiment of nature's justice. He defends the well-being of the forest and its creatures by protecting the vulnerable. The huntsman appears when something has upset the natural order of things. He can be called upon for help in righteous and just causes, and he will tolerate neither deception nor deceit. Maybe this is about your 9 of Wands, your 9 of Swords, your 8 of Swords. Maybe there has been something rather unfair and your Queen of Wands has risen up to fight that. She's not prepared to put up with that. I like that. What are your motives? Is your word to be trusted? He's assessing you and not condemning you yet. The law protects the innocent. Those who invoke the law must come from a place of righteousness and truth. Encountering the huntsman signifies the balance of justice is in play, and you must be careful to obey the laws of nature and of humanity. Listen to your conscience as embodied by the huntsman and do the right thing. So I think, I think that you have woken up this sense of justice. That's what's waking up this kind of riotous power, creative power. Maybe something hasn't been fair. Let's see. Now, what I normally do then is go on to a card from the, this one, I didn't want to go back in, the Lovers. Wow. from the Shining Tribe deck. That's amazing. So this really could be for someone who's taken a new lover. But I think also you're partnering with this energy. So we won't read too much of this because I want this to be a quick reading, but how lovely. It's really turning out to be very blessed. So the lovers, number 6. And in Précis, it says, desire, acting out of passion, more passion. This is the way she interprets this one particularly. This is Rachel Pollock's deck, and it's her spread, incidentally. A deep and committed relationship, sexual expression, ecstasy, not just sexual, free sharing with others, trust and commitment. I think there could be a really strong sexual element of this. And of course, if all of this is being woken up for you, you might be feeling quite sexy. Something in the kitchen like that. In relationships, we need to bring both sides, the confident spirit that will sweep our partners off the feet and the vulnerable human, desirous but unsure. When we see lovers as either all-powerful or all-needy, or when we see ourselves in that way, we betray Aphrodite. The Lover's card reminds us of the full complexity of love. And that's interesting because you end up with this Page of Cups, this Page of Love, messages of love. Maybe it's saying you are both commanding and sexy and vulnerable, and that's okay. One isn't, it's not exclusive. You can be in touch with both. I like that. So the fierce kiss of the lovers, we're most aware of the whole world as sexual when we express our own sexuality. As in the Tower, the lightning symbolizes revelation born of ecstasy. The darkness of the kiss symbolizes the mysteries of sex, which leads us to a place in ourselves we hardly knew existed. This is the kind of energy that's waking up for you. And of course, you can put that energy into sex, or you could put that energy into creation, or both. So I love it. It's talking about balancing yourself, great desire, great passion, and ecstasy. And this is what's waking up in you. And eventually we see you listening to it. But in that gentle way of the page. And the page would acknowledge that we don't always feel really strong. Desire leads us to make our first real choices independent of our parents. How many of us have dated or at least yearned for people our parents disapproved of? I like it. Really beautiful. What is your passion, the Lovers asks. How do you act on your passion? Well, these are your questions. How amazing. Right, let's have some oracles. These will go super quick, just to add to any elements, pull our attention to any elements. We're balancing with the huntsman. There's justice. All parts of us need to be heard, including great passion. You can't just hold on and suppress it. You've got to allow it out. Medicine woman, medicine man. That reminds me of the wounded healer in the Nine of Wands for some reason or other. I mean, a medicine woman, medicine man is a very wise person. You don't get wise without taking a few bashes. So it's that kind of wisdom. And also the fact that it's got woman and man, it feels quite balanced. Risk. Take some risks. Let go of that Four of Pentacles. Come on, you can do it. It's saying, we know this feels challenging to you, but you can take some risks. I love it. You're being challenged by your passions, by your desires, Scorpio, and offerings. So you will be able to offer something back with this passion. You're being offered it from the world, but you will, like the Page of Cups, be able to offer back some of this. So it's not a purely self-driven activity. I love it. And joy. It's going to give you great joy. Who wouldn't want a bit of that hummingbird energy? You know, this is when we feel the joys of spring and summer, when we feel connected to all of life, that passion running through our veins. I absolutely love it. Muse of poetry. Yes, it could inspire you to this kind of poetic offering. This might be what you offer the world once you get in touch with that. And actually there's a picture of Emily Dickinson there, and I love that because I took a book out. Gosh, I must take my books back to the library, but I took a book out of the library about Emily Dickinson, who I studied at university, and if you're American, you'll know all about her. But what made me laugh was in the beginning of it, they talked about her as being so much more. I always learned that she was, a spinster, dreadful word. I'm a spinster technically, who was, and my new friend who I met in the street, she's not a spinster, she got married, but she doesn't have children. You know, those kind of, that othering of people who don't have children or aren't married. They always talked about her like that, but actually in this introduction, I learned more about her than I had when I was doing my university course. And she was a deeply passionate person and potentially had all sorts of affairs, but they don't tell that story. So that's interesting. From your poetry, so, and poetry is the representation of Erato, the patron of Greek muse of lyrical love poetry and song. Well, if he's not a poet, I don't know who is. So this is what you could be using all this passion for, poetry and whimsy. Erato means desired or lovely, which is for the same root as Eros, the Greek god of love. Ancient poets turned to Erato when they wanted to channel their deep expression of desire and passion for their beloveds. This is all about desire and passion, your whole reading. I'm sort of jealous. It's so lovely. It's not just about love poetry, this card. Our emotions are diverse and merit poetic evocation when they bubble up to the surface. American poet Emily Dickinson is famously known for exploring themes of death and immortality as well as love. God, how amazing this energy is. This muse's mastery, this muse of poetry wants us to express ourselves in verse. Finding rhythm with words can help us to ponder our deepest emotions. It doesn't have to be fancy. Dickinson's style was quite unique for her time, that she wrote short lines with crisp, concise words that had rhythm and impact. This muse's mastery over creative expression comes from the heart. If you've pulled this card, it's time to channel her genius through your heart and hand. Poetry can liberate us and guide us to examine our lives. This card may be inviting you to explore your deeper thoughts and feelings about a situation. It's difficult to capture sometimes, but writing out our impressions in a simple, evocative way can help us with to suss out our own feelings. So even if you're not going to create art, that might be a way forward for you. It's possible this muse's magic's already flowing through you, and the appearance of this card is affirming your talent as a poet or a lyricist. Honour your unique power of imagination and the ability to express yourself in this special way. This muse could be asking you to take poetry to the next level. Are you meant to publish your work or teach? If you're not in the mood for writing and haven't read poetry in a while, reacquaint yourself by picking up some books and exploring techniques and various styles. Don't forget modern as well as traditional. You might want to get some creative inspiration by going to a poetry reading, or dare I suggest it, reading one. Poetry is when an emotion has found its thought and the thought has found words. Robert Frost. That's amazing. And it says of this picture, this is Emily Dickinson at the age of 16. She wears 2 arrows. Ah, that's interesting. Like the 2 of Swords. That gives me a new feeling for the 2 of Swords. One on each arm. One focuses on her writing skill and the other on love. Neoclassical and Renaissance depictions of Erato show her holding an arrow or an instrument. She was also sometimes seen with Eros or Cupid, which explains the arrow connection. A blue light emits from her throat and shines around her head. It's not really blue. Oh yes, it is. You probably won't be able to see that. Showing an emphasis on the muse of poetry. Its mastery over verbal rhythm and expression. A daub of red paint on the centre of her chest identifies where she channels her creativity from her heart. It's so the same as this, which is where you're ending up. Look at that blue, look at the heart, which is symbolised by the cup. The imagination, which is what a poet uses, which is the fish. Gosh, you might well be a poet, a lyricist, or this is something to explore, or whatever this means to you. You might be some other sort of form of artist. I'm really loving it. It's bringing great joy just even reading about it. Yeah, and a final word. I'm not going to go any further. This is you finding your passion, finding your love, channeling it with the 2 of Cups. This is what you're meant to offer the world. It could be in a sexual relationship. It could be through lyrics, poetry, clay, some way of bringing all of this passion into expression. And so you've got the Lovers here and the Two of Cups. I mean, this is rich, rich, fertile territory. Super lovely reading, Scorpio and Bee people. See you again.